Hello everyone, Namaskar. I am Rishi Gurung, your host, and today I welcome you to the podcast organized by Political Science Association of Shaheed Bhagat Singh College. Today with us we are joined by none other than Dr. Kamal Nayan Chaube, who is a noted scholar on tribal politics, the functionalities of identity and tribal studies. He is also named in the Prince list of next gen intellectuals of India, and moreover he has a YouTube channel Nayi Parakh which is very infamous among its scholars and students alike. Sir, we are truly delighted to have you with us today, and we can't wait to hear your thoughts on how to study Indian politics, which is the nucleus of today's conversation or podcast.
Yeah. So if you'll ask certain question, I will answer it. But before that, I thank you for giving me this opportunity to discuss issues related to Indian politics and other things, which I think will give me an opportunity to ponder over many issues. So I'm looking forward to your question, and we'll discuss it further.
Pleasure is all ours, sir. Yeah. So, sir, since our topic for today's podcast is how to study Indian politics, the first question to you is that could you please elaborate some vantage points when studying the Indian politics, if one is beginning their studies in Indian politics, or what are the points they should follow or keep in mind?
So basically, I will talk about a student who is coming to undergraduate college, okay? And we know that some students are from social science background, and some students are from science background.
Yeah.
So those who are coming from social science background, I hope that they have some basic understanding about Indian constitution, some basic understanding about what happened in last 70 to 75 years. It means post-independence era, and also some knowledge about India's freedom struggle. So I think these are some basic things which all of us know if you want to start our study. Now the point is that when we'll start our journey to study Indian politics, of course we will find these things as separate topics, and we'll try to understand or try to develop much deeper understanding of these things, okay? But my point here is that if someone is starting, for example, if I'm coming to this college and I wish to study Indian politics, what I should do? I should try to read some NCERT books. It means that there should be some, some understanding about what happened in last 70 or 75 years, important events, some knowledge about Indian constitution, okay, some knowledge about this country and particularly the national movement, from where we can find that the idea of our constitution evolved. So I think one can start studying Indian politics by just understanding these things. And I'm not saying that this understanding should develop as an expertise kind of understanding. The meaning is that we should try to understand these things as stories. That how Congress was formed, what kind of issues raised by Gandhi, Ambedkar, Nehru, Patel, or different other organizations which were working for the welfare of people or to express the ideas of different sections of society. Similarly, we must know something about Indian constitution. So if we have this kind of understanding, and even if we are starting our journey to understand Indian politics, and we have just basic understanding of all such things, we can get more deeper understanding over the period of time when we'll try to focus on some deeper readings, So I think this could be a starting point for all students. So if you are coming from social science background, I hope you have this knowledge, and even if students don't have this knowledge, they should try to first get this kind of understanding, So with this kind of understanding, they will develop some kind of interest in the subject. Otherwise, they will find that when they are studying constitution, there are lots of legal things, and they are unable to understand these things, and different kind of events are there, and all these things are very confusing. State politics, federalism, etc., etc. So some basic understanding is necessary, and I suggest every student to develop this kind of understanding whenever they are going to study Indian politics.
So that was a great consideration if one begins to study Indian politics. Sir, as you talked about the Indian constitution in your previous answer, I would like to now focus on the India's position, unique position globally. As we all know that India is the world's largest democracy and we all take pride in it, as well as with largest democracy, it has the largest written constitution. But this constitution is borrowed from other constitutions of various countries. Apart from that, there are some distinctive features of not only the Indian constitution, but Indian politics as well. So could you please highlight those distinctive points which other democracies of world can take inspiration from or can get inspired to build up their future democracies around the world?
Now, Rishi, first thing is that I am not agree with this particular point that actually in our constitution we borrowed many things from other constitutions. Okay. So obviously there were things which were in other constitution before they came in Indian constitution. Okay, like fundamental rights was in United States of America's constitution. But when we are saying that actually we borrowed, it means that there was no deliberation. It means that there was no idea of these things in our national movement, our freedom struggle, or our constituent assembly members just sat together and decided to take some parts from that constitution, some other parts from some other constitution, but that was not the case. So I can give you many examples, but I want to give you one example properly. That example is related to fundamental rights. So we know and we generally study this point that actually in Indian constitution there is this chapter of fundamental rights, and some people say it was borrowed from United States of America. Some people say that it was influenced by United States of America. But if you study our freedom struggle, you'll find that actually this particular idea was accepted by Congress Party, Indian National Congress in Karachi session. And after much deliberation, and before that, Motilal Nehru Committee also included this particular idea in a draft constitution, which an all-party committee, prepared in 1928. So my point here is that it seems that there are many things which are similar from other constitution in our constitution, and there is no harm in saying that to some extent our constitution makers were influenced from these constitutions, but we adopted it from thorough deliberation and through our experiences. So if we are saying that we accepted the idea of freedom of speech or the idea of giving all people equal opportunity to follow their faiths, their religions, all such ideas emerged after due deliberation. So that is a thing which we must remember, and we always say that actually Indian constitution is prepared by a constituent assembly. Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar played the most important role in it. He was the chairman of drafting committee, and many things which were deliberated in constituent assembly were actually emerged as important issues during our freedom struggle. So you can think about reservation for SCs and STs in Lok Sabha and other state legislative assemblies. This thing was also a result of Pune Pact, and many other things. So that is the first part of my answer. The second thing is that if we see all over the world, we can find that actually India, which got independence in 1947, and around those years many other countries got their independence, but India was the only country which survived with democracy. There was a phase of emergency from 1975 to 1977, but apart from that we can find that Indian democracy worked smoothly. So the reason was, in my mind, and I think other countries should learn from this, that we never emphasize so much on one religious identity or linguistic identity. There was, through our constitution, a scope for dialogical space for all religions, for all ideologies. So due to this thing, we actually worked successfully as democracy, and we are still working as democracy. That is one thing. The another thing, and I think the other countries should or could learn from this. The second thing is that we focused on our institutions. So you can find that there was a parliamentary system and parliament was working smoothly from the beginning. Okay, judiciary also worked within its limit. Okay, and executive was also with some limitations. There were some bad experiences too, but we learned, our institution learned to work within a limit, a limit prepared by the constitution. Okay, so I think the institutional robustness of our democracy should give many lessons to other countries. Okay, because in those countries we can find that due to some kind of corruption, due to some kind of personality cult, okay, authoritarianism or totalitarian regimes emerged. So I think there are lots of things which other countries could learn from Indian democracy or Indian constitution. Yes.
Okay, sir. So that was a wonderful answer as you gave. As India can become a Vishwa Guru to other countries, inspire other countries to the path of democracy. Sir, as you mentioned about institutions, so it's impossible to talk about democracy without talking about democratic institutions. In India also, we have institutions that are constitutionally robust, but yet politically strained. So my now question to you is that how do we know that the contemporary institutions are functionally alive rather than being formally intact just on papers?
Now the point is that all of us read newspapers, we watch TV channels, and if you are a student of politics, we are aware about different things which are happening in our country, and every time we can find that there are debates related to certain judgments of Supreme Court. Okay, that whether that judgment was right or wrong, whether our judges were influenced by some other pressures. There are debates related to the functioning of Election Commission. Okay, so and there are debates related to the working of the institution of governors within the state, that whether they are working within the limits created by our constitution or not, etc., etc. So all these things are there. But my point is that we can say with criticism, with some kind of pessimism that pessimistic view, that actually these institutions are just formally working. And if we want to see some kind of liveliness, if we want to see them as working with some kind of honest approach or constitutional approach, these things are lacking. So this could be one reading. But my point is that if you look towards your democracy, and the functioning of democracy and the roots of democracy in our country, you will find that actually due to different factors, these institutions are actually working more or less constitutionally. So I'm not just saying that they are working automatically normally, but you'll find, for example, I'll talk about Election Commission of India. So if there is a decision by Election Commission of India, you will find that there are avenues, different avenues to before opposition parties to create some kind of pressure on Election Commission. So if they are doing some kind of press conferences, if they are raising certain questions in press, Election Commission cannot continuously deny that we are not going to answer these questions. They have to answer this. So and you can think about many things which are happening these days in our country. For example, when Rahul Gandhi raised this issue of vote chori, and the deletion of many names by some outside persons, if you have read the newspaper of yesterday, you'll find that Election Commission actually claimed that now it has prepared a new kind of mechanism, and no person can delete the names of other person without very difficult process. So it is a kind of response. Similarly, we can find that there was lots of problems related to criminalization of politics, corruption in politics. So there is an organization, ADR, Association for Democratic Reforms. So you know that now every candidate has to submit an affidavit. In that affidavit, they have to mention that how many cases are against them. They have to mention that how much property they have or their family members have. So through this process, there is some kind of transparency. Election Commission did not automatically adopted these things. So what I am trying to say is overall, through this example of ECI, that democratic processes, are not just related to giving total autonomy or believing that an institution will work automatically.
Okay.
Actually, if political actors, and all of us are political actors, are working consciously, okay, they can compel or they can persuade these institutions to work in a positive directions. Okay. So I think, even though, as you mentioned, there are some kind of tension, some kind of strain, some kind of external pressures, okay, in these institutions, we can simply say that due to the democratic robustness of our country, more or less, these institutions are functioning in positive directions. Though there are many questions, okay, we can say that actually continuous criticism, continuous pressure, okay, continuous dialogue, all these things have created a way forward for these institutions, and they are working, I would say, in a positive directions, though there are many limitations. I'd agree with this point. Yeah.
So this was a great perspective, and I got to learn something new, something more about democratic institutions, because they are still alive.
Yeah.
And sir, building up to the next theme of Indian politics, the federal dynamics that India has. So we know that center-state tussles that we can see, or even which are behind the curtains, are propelled by various factors. But there are three main leading factors, that is the money, the law, and political signaling. So according to you, if a conflict in federalism breaks out, how do you tell which of the three is the driving motivation for the fight, and how to best tackle or triangulate this fight in your opinion?
So one thing is, I hope you know this thing, that federalism is the part of the basic structure of our constitution. And obviously in our federal structure, we can say that center has more power than states.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So center can use certain sanctions. It can use Article 356 against state if necessary. Though after Bombay case, now it is not possible for center to use it more often, okay, than it was earlier before Bombay judgment. Now, my point here is that you mentioned 3 points, and I think political signaling or direction of center in recent past, we can find played an important role in different kind of behaviors of governors. Okay. So you can think about, for example, Jagdeep Dhankar, who was the governor of West Bengal. Okay. And he actually went beyond the constitutional limits. Okay. And he was regularly issuing statements, okay, creating some kind of critical situation for the state government. Okay. And there could be many such examples. Delhi was another example when Aam Aadmi Party government was there. Okay. The lieutenant governor were doing different kind of things, and since Delhi's situation is somewhat different from other states, we can say that there was much to debate about Delhi. But we can find that particularly if there is a government which is not from the same party which is ruling at the center, more clearly if there is non-BJP or non-NDA government, okay, we can find that some kind of problems are there. Now my point here is that if we want to create a robust federal system in our country, okay, there is need to focus on cooperative federalism. Our Prime Minister Narendra Modi regularly focus on this point, that there should be a cooperative federalism, okay, a federalism where there should be cooperation between states and central government. Rather than some kind of competition, rather than some kind of creating hurdle for each other. Okay. So my point here is that we should work according to this idea of cooperative federalism. Okay, and there should be a creation of a space where central leaders, okay, or state chief ministers could do dialogue with each other. Okay, they should resolve if there is any problem, okay, through these dialogues. So this space is necessary. And I would also add that there is a tendency, okay, and I'm not doing some kind of political balancing thing, but I observe this thing that sometimes if there are certain state governments, okay, which are in opposition part, which belong to opposition party, okay, they also always treat center with some kind of suspicion. Okay, so there should be dialogue from both sides, open-hearted dialogue, because electorates or common masses or voters have elected both the governments. They have their distinct arena, and they must work in those areas, okay, and they should try to work for the welfare of the people. Now, this is an ideal situation, and we know that there are lots of problems. So my response is, in nutshell, that there should be focus on cooperative federalism. There should be more and more dialogue, and central government should resist the tendency to pick and appoint a person as governor who is actually doing some kind of political act. So there are examples of such things, and state governments should try to indulge in more and more dialogue. But I also want to add just one point, that federal structure in our country is now more strong, because we can find that now we have third layer of federalism, okay, in the form of Panchayati Raj, okay, and municipalities. And so there should be more power to this third layer of federalism. Okay, so in this sense, we can make our democratic system more vibrant, okay, and robust. Yeah.
So, sir, in your opinion, the cooperative federation is something which can help tackle the center-state tussles. When I got to know I'm interviewing you, and I would recommend it to the viewers and listeners of this podcast, as Nayi Parakh sir's channel is a great and insightful channel you can find on YouTube for students and scholars alike on Indian politics. And sir, now my question to you
I just want to add one thing.
Yes, sir.
That there are different kind of programs. So it is not necessary that, I mean, those who are students of political science, they'll find it interesting to understand day-to-day politics too. But if you're not interested in day-to-day politics, you should focus on those programs which are related to book discussion, which are related to discussion on concepts, etc., etc. And obviously, you can find it easily from the channel. Okay, that there is a playlist, and in that playlist, you can find the program of your choice. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So my next question to you would be on your forte, the area of specialization, that is on the social representation and the caste politics. So, sir, you have discussed about subcategorization of the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes with the complexity of caste politics. So, will this subcategorization help in representation, or will it deepen the electoral fragmentation, according to you?
No, the point is that electoral fragmentation, it could lead to electoral fragmentation, okay? And of course, it will create a situation of more and more representation of those castes who have very less population, okay?
Yeah.
And there is, there has been this issue that actually in all categories, okay, we can find that only few communities are getting more representation, okay? And other communities are, or few communities are even not able to get 1% or 0.5% of representation in the jobs or in political space, okay? So my point is that, and there has been, I must accept it, and you should also know this, and I hope you know this, that there has been an important thing which we must discuss, that is related to not giving due to these sections, okay, even if there is no subcategorization, okay, on the seats of government job which should be given to them. What I'm trying to say here is that you can find a phenomena like NFS, not found suitable. Okay, so the claim of those who are opposing subcategorization is that, look, at present, okay, if there is no subcategorization, you will find that most of these, not most of the seats, but many seats related to these communities are still vacant. Okay? So if you are saying that there would be subcategorization, that subcategorization would lead to a situation where more and more seats would be vacant. Okay? So first, fulfill the aspirations of those who have educated rather than excluding them by creating subcategorization. So this is a very strong argument, and I think there is need to fill all seats, okay, related to these categories, okay. But after that, I think there should be some kind of subcategorization too. Okay, so my point is that this should be an ideal situation where all groups of, for example, scheduled caste or scheduled tribes or OBCs could get some kind of representation in jobs, okay, or representative organs too, at the level of panchayat or at different levels. But it should not be used to create a situation where actually more and more seats, particularly in jobs, would be vacant. So this should be applied, this should be implemented, but gradually, okay, with understanding all kind of factors, all kind of facets of these issues.
Okay, sir. So we can, in a way, we can say that subcategorization is necessity for present and future democracy of India.
We can say, but I would say that to move towards subcategorization, okay, we need to understand different complexities of the present system. And as I mentioned, that if some groups are saying this thing and with exact data that look, the seats reserved for these groups, okay, SC, STs, OBCs are still vacant, then if you would do subcategorization, that would lead a phenomena where more and more seats would be vacant, because there would be no candidate from those categories, okay, because they are too marginalized. So first you should try to fill these seats, and in the future actually you should move towards subcategorization. Okay, so understanding this particular aspect is also important. That is my viewpoint. So we should move towards subcategorization with proper deliberation, by hearing all kind of views, and then we should move forward rather than just imposing it from the above. Because we know that it is also related to some kind of political compulsions, okay, that if you just exclude some upper OBCs, okay, and focus on lower OBCs, then there would be a different kind of vote banks. So rather than vote bank politics, I think there is need to focus more and more complex issues related to this.
So sir, as my previous question was related to the future of India's democracy, so this would be my last question to you, and I would like to ask that what will be the biggest challenge for India's democracy in the next decade or upcoming few years? What challenges and what changes can we expect, and what will be your cautionary suggestion on it?
It's a very broad question. So I will just focus on what Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar mentioned in Constituent Assembly, that there is need to focus on constitutional morality. Okay, simply constitutional morality means that those who are occupying some kind of constitutional post or any post should understand the duties related to it and focus on doing their work more honestly, okay, and not deviating from their duties to some kind of external pressure, okay, or some kind of more ambition that I would get something else from this after this particular duty. Okay, so and constitutional morality is related to different aspects. So the point is that there is need to reform many institutions. Okay, and in previous questions you mentioned this thing, that there are certain questions on political institutions of our country. So I think that would be the biggest challenge. And another thing is that we need to, all of us need to learn things related to our duties, as I mentioned, towards country, okay, and also some kind of awareness about our right. Okay, so we know that there is Gen Z kind of phenomena in different societies, but I think there is need to give more disciplined understanding of different issues and avenues to resolve those issues for these new generation students or new generation persons or new generations individuals related to our problems. Okay, because if we will not teach them this kind of thing, and the role of colleges, the role of schools are more important in it, then obviously there will be a danger of anarchy in our society. So I think there is focus on giving them more systematic understanding of our constitutional values, okay, and some understanding or deeper understanding about their duties and their rights too. Okay. And if they have certain rights, they have certain duties too. And to claim their rights, there is a certain process given in our constitution, that process should be a democratic process, not an anarchist process.
Okay. So definitely, this is a really great way to look at the future of India, particularly India's democracy. So, sir, that was it from my side. My questions for today to you, and sir, I would really thank you for. We are really delighted to have you with us today, and we value your time. And this insightful session is very enlightening, and I'm sure that it will really help the scholars and students, our listeners, to further put your thoughts into practice. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Rishi. I really enjoyed discussing things with you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.